Hello and welcome to this video on project development using P6-Loader. P6-Loader is a tool built by Emerald Associates that allows you to extract out data as well as load data back in to P6, including all those global pieces of data that are so hard to get to. So as a person creating a new project, we may use templates and copy things. We may make one from scratch. Really, project development starts with Excel. So let's use Excel to make our lives easier. So let's take a look at P6. I have a project that I'm going to be building out from the ground up. It has no WBS, no activities, and I also need to build out my resources for this project. So let's take a look at what those P6-Loader sheets would look like. First of all, I'm going to have a tab for each module or, say, subject that I am going to load information for. On each of these, I'm going to have some colors. Dark red in the background is going to show me that these are required fields. I also have some orangish font types that are telling me that these are going to help me remap those project IDs as well as the codes. And then I have the blue pieces, which are telling me that these are actually optional. So I'm starting to build out my WBS. And I am using what I'm getting from estimates so that we can match. We can layer it, we can do it flat, and if as my project grows, as it proceeds, I can add more later on. Well, as I'm going along to developing my project, I find that I need to populate some project level activity codes. So I'm going to set those out here. I'm going to tell it what project that I'm going to assign these to, giving it a length as well as deciding whether it's going to be a secure code or not. Now, once I have those done, I want to actually populate my dictionary. So in my activity code tab, I'm going to put my code values as well as my descriptions and give it the information it needs so that it assigns it to the proper code type. Then I can start building out some activities here. I've got my project ID and my ID for my activities. And in this case, I am using some functionality in Excel to help me build out my name. So I've got my activity name here that I'm using this title column, which is not a normal column in an activity worksheet. But in this case, I'm going to be using it to build out my name, so I can add it. P6-Loader is going to ignore this column when it loads because it does not recognize the word title. So I can just leave this in my workbook as I go along. It's also going to concatenate in my area as well as my work package on this. So it's using that to create my name. Now, I don't have to copy and paste values in order for P6-Loader to know what to load. It already knows that what I have here is a formula and what I want to load is actually the results of that formula. Now, I have some activities. Expenses that I am going to be putting in here. So I'm going to go ahead and give it the activity name, what the expense item is, as well as I have some cost accounts that are associated with these expenses. I'm also able to put the accrual type I want on that and set up my costs on here and my units for that matter. Now I'm also going to be building out a cost account structure. This is brand new, and so I need to get it into P6 so that I can use it on my activities. Now I can also add in steps. Again, this is something I could use with the functionality of Excel. I could copy and paste the values for the steps that are going to be used over and over again. And then I could simply take my activity ID and copy it in. So I am able to build this out fairly quickly because I do have the same steps along on both of these. Calendars. I am in need for my project a resource calendar that is actually a rotating 10 on, 4 off calendar. Now, if you've ever tried to build these in P6, they can be a little bit cumbersome and a little bit confusing. You need to, count out each one of those days on that calendar, mark it as, that these are work times, and then, count your next 4 for the non-work times, and then hopefully you don't count wrong and mess up, because then you're going to have to go back and start all over again. Now, when creating a calendar in P6-Loader, you can actually use the functionality of Excel again. So I've got the rotating calendar here that I'm setting up with my hours per day, week, month, etc. I'm also marking what days of the week and what time of day are normal work hours for this particular calendar. And then on my calendar exceptions, I am using a formula to actually count how many days I have off, and then put that forward 10 days and etc. using formulas. So I'm adding on each one, and then on my next time off period, I have actually said, add 11 days to this, and then I'm going to use that again to increment my days. So a lot easier using a formula, a lot more accurate when you are building out these calendar dates that are exceptions. Now I also need a new resource code type, and so I want to signify the contractor in this case. So I'm going to create that contractor code, and then I'm going to populate it. And I've even got some hierarchy in here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start building out my resources. Now, I've got all these resources that I'm going to be using with my project. I'm able to assign the primary role in there. I've got my calendar, even my new calendar that I'm actually going to assign to each one of these few resources here. And I am able to, of course, assign codes, the resource codes, including that new contractor code that I am adding in right there. As you can see, I can also populate UDFs as I go. Then I'm going to assign resources to my activities. When I assign resources to my activities, I'm actually able to do some planning while I'm doing that. So I've got my planned duration here, my planned units, and my planned costs. I can also put my units per time. Now, lastly, I'm going to be looking at my logic through my schedule. So essentially, it's going to be, you have your predecessor and your successor, and we're going to work all the way through my project, including setting the type of relationship it is, as well as any lag that is needed on any of my relationships. So let's go and take a look at P6-Loader and see how it works. So in P6-Loader, this is the sign-on screen. I can actually point to several different databases if needed. So in this case, I'm going to be using my production database, and I'm going to go ahead and sign in. Now, the first thing that comes up is my results page. My results page, I haven't ran anything yet, and so I don't have anything here. But I do want to upload my new project and all the information that goes along with it. So I'm going to select the upload option here, and I'm going to browse to the file that I want to upload. and that is right here, my new project development file. I can select it, open it, you can see it gets put down here, and I can upload that file. Once my task is completed successfully, I can go back to P6 and I can refresh my data and bring that data in that I just loaded. So now I can see that I have my resources all built out. Now if I go into activities, I can see that I've got all of my, of course, my WBS, my activities, the calendars that need to be on each one of my activities, my duration. I even have those steps in here. So if I go down and take a look at my steps, I can see that I've got the steps are loaded, as well as my logic, some resources that have been applied here, roles that have been applied, even a cost account that's been applied. And you can see that I've started budgeting out and putting values in for my labor and my expenses. So as you can see, it is very easy to take the information that you get from your team, consolidate it into a P6-Loader file, and load it up very quickly and get your project off its feet and on its way. So if you'd like to find out more about P6-Loader, feel free to give us a call, depending on what area of the world you're in. We've got several different numbers here, as well as you can also visit our website and find more information, not only about P6-Loader, but also about our other tools that we offer. Thank you for joining me, and have a great day.